Assalamualaikum. Today our group will present about ECO162, Chapter 6, Theory of Production and Cost. So our group members are Luqman Hakim, Muhammad IZMAR, Muhammad HARITH, DANIAL and Muhammad AFIFI. Okay, first, using the production function, complete the figures for marginal product using the derivation of production. Draw a graph of the marginal product curve using the number you compute. Okay, so the answer is marginal product equals to change in total product per change in labor. Example, we take 5 minus 1 equals to 1 and 15 minus 10 equals to 5. So the answers will be 1 over 5 or 0.2. So this all the answer that we get. So we need to plot in the graph. So this is the marginal product curve that we get when we calculate all the answer. Okay, next. First, compute the variable cost for Q equals to 0 through Q equals to 5. Suppose the firm can hire workers at a wage rate RM 10 per hour to work in its factory, which has a rental cost of RM 100. So the answer is we use the formula is total variable cost equals to average variable cost times quantity. So variable cost refers to the cost of input that change in output. So the variable cost is RM 10 per hour. So if the labor is 1, so it must time with 10, so the total variable cost will get is 10. So if the labor 2, the labor must time with 2, so the total variable cost is 20. So in conclusion, if labor increase, the total variable cost also will increase. Okay, next question. Compute the fixed cost for Q equals to 0 to Q equals to 5. Okay, based on the statement given, we already give that the total rental cost of RM 100. Total fixed cost refers to the cost of input depend of output such as rental and interest payment. There's no relationship between total fixed cost and total output. So the total fixed cost from Q equals to 0 until Q equals to 5 is RM 100.
So number 4, then compute the total cost for Q equals to 0 through Q equals to 5. And so based on the formula, we have total cost equals to total fixed cost and total variable cost. So for the labor, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we have total cost, we get 100, 1 for 0, 110 for 1. For 2, we have 120. For 3, we have 130. For 4, we have 140. And for 5, we have 150. So finally, compute the marginal cost for Q equals to 0 through Q equals to 5. Draw the marginal cost curve and compare marginal product curve above. Explain what you see. So for the formula, we have marginal cost equals to a total cost per labor. For the labor, of course, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for the marginal cost, we have none for 0. And we have the same amount for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is 10. So based on the graph, marginal cost curve, we went from 0 to 10. From 1 to 5, we have the same amount, we have 10. And for the explanation, I had to say the diagram will show the marginal cost from labor 1 to 5. It is marginal cost 10 Malaysian ringgit each, since the cost is the same every single unit produced, so it is considered as constant. Therefore, when marginal product curve falls, the marginal cost will increase. If the marginal product curve starts to decline, each additional units of output will getting or costly because it takes more additional workers to increase production. That's it. Thank you.
Next, I want to discuss about Part B, topic elimination returns. respond to the following situation, write a minimum 300 words. Diminishing return is a concept, or more precisely, an empirical finding that shows up in the variety of places in microeconomics. What do economics mean by diminishing returns to an input? Have you ever observed this principle at work in a job you have had? Describe how you have experienced this concept in the real world. The answer is diminishing returns in the context of microeconomics refers to the situation where the marginal product of an input decreases as more of the input is added, while other inputs remain constant. It's a concept that highlights the idea that adding more of a specific input eventually leads to decreasing incremental output. This concept can be observed in various sectors and industries. For instance, let's consider a manufacturing company that produce furniture. In the initial stages of production, as labor and capital inputs are added, the output increases rapidly. However, at a certain point, the increase in output becomes less significant and starts to diminish for each additional unit of input. One common illustration of diminishing returns can be observed in agriculture. Suppose a farmer decides to increase the amount of fertilizer used in the field. Initially, this leads to a significant increase in crop yield. However, adding more and more fertilizer will eventually result in a smaller increase in yield. And in extreme case, it can even have adverse effect on the overall crop health and quality. This is because there is a limited capacity of the land to observe and utilize the nutrient provided by the fertilizer. In my own job experience, I have personally observed the principle of diminishing returns. During my time working at marketing firm, we had a project where we aimed to increase the visibility of clients' website. We initially implemented various strategies and saw substantial improvement in website traffic and user engagement. However, as we continued to pour more resources and effort into the project, we noticed that the rate of improvement started to slow down. Despite investing more time and money into different marketing channels, the incremental increase in website traffic and conversion began to diminish. It became clear that we had reached a point where the returns were diminishing and further investment would not yet promote a proportional result. The realization prompted us to reevaluate our approach. We shifted our focus to optimizing the existing marketing strategies rather than blindly pouring more resources. By fine-tuning our targeting, improving the user experience, and conducting thorough data analysis, we were able to achieve better results without exponentially increasing our investment. This experience taught me the importance of efficiency and recognizing the point of diminishing returns. It emphasizes the need to constantly assess and adjust strategies instead of persisting with ineffective methods. By understanding and applying the principle of diminishing returns, business can make better decisions about resource allocation and ultimately maximize their output while minimizing costs.
Now we move to part C, question A. Explain with an aid of diagram the COVID-19 vaccines. Show the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. So the answer, as we can see in the diagram below, the diagram show how the intersection of the supply and demand curve results in the equilibrium price and quantity. So basically in the diagram, the quantity is Q and this is a unit, and the equilibrium price for COVID-19 vaccine is 87 ringgit and 60 cents, meaning that there would be no tendency for price and quantity to change when the market equilibrium was reached. Next, we move to question B. Discuss the effect of increase in the demand of COVID-19 vaccines and sketch a suitable diagram. So the answer, we can see the diagram. The impact of the rising COVID-19 vaccination is referred to the diagram below. So The result of rising COVID-19 vaccination demand is a rightward shift in the demand curve from D0 to D1. Next, the equilibrium price will rise from P0 to P1, and the quantity will rise from Q0 to Q1. Finally, the new equilibrium that we get, the new equilibrium level that we get is E1 will become the equilibrium level, replacing E0. Next, question C. Explain the effect of the imposition of price selling on the COVID-19 vaccines. Show it in the diagram. So the answer, as we can see the diagram show the maximum price, which is set by the government, is below the equilibrium price. So the seller must to obey this legal price that's set by the government. Let's say if the government set one unit of COVID-19 vaccine is priced on RM87.60. So the seller must to sell the vaccine below than the maximum price that's set by the government. When the maximum price is below the market price, there will be a shortage of goods and services. The quantity demand for vaccine is greater than quantity supply of vaccine. Next, we move to last question, question D. Discuss the effect of shortage of COVID-19 vaccines to people and economy. First, the effect is quantity demand is greater than quantity supply. That means quantity that has been supplied is not enough with a high demanded from a consumer. Second, there will be forces working to bring the price of vaccination closer to the equilibrium level. Third, because the price has been increasing, the producer will raise their supply. So the price and quantity will then return to the equilibrium level as long as the process continues, and the amount demanded equals the quantity provided. Lastly, as a result of the price going up becoming more expensive, buyers will reduce the amount demanded, which result in the drop in the quantity demanded.